Hello and welcome to another episode of CEO Talk. It's a series that targets to capture the pulse of the market and industry sentiments as the global CEOs offer directions on the upcoming trends and the relevant strategies and models they are devising to shape a better future. I am Kalpana Singhal, and today we have with us a visionary leader in the industry, Dharshan Shanthamurthy, the founder and chief executive officer of SISA. So, Dharshan Shanthamurthy is a renowned leader in the field of cybersecurity with a wealth of experience and insights to share. His leadership at SISA has been instrumental in shaping the industry, and we are honored to have him here today. A very warm welcome, Dharshan.
Thank you, Kalpana. Thank you for having me here.
So, Dharshan, reflecting on your journey as a founder and CEO of SISA, can you share a pivotal moment or significant challenge that greatly influenced your leadership style or approach to running the company?
I got into cybersecurity for the pure passion of the space. Being a chartered accountant by qualification, I chose cybersecurity because I was very passionate about the impact that cyber will have to society at large. So, and then my aha moment was when Mr. Naran Murthy actually inaugurated our campus way back in 2017. And that's when we kind of realized that we've got now a serious company in the making, and we can actually transform. It's almost like a baton passing from the old generation of entrepreneurs, where, of course, Mr. Murthy and kind of leaders actually really put India on the global map in terms of technology. And that was like a aha moment where companies like us could actually, do something substantial to the society. So that experience of going through and being with Mr. Murthy really kind of influenced my journey as an entrepreneur and as a leader of a company.
That's quite interesting. So beyond your role as a leader in the cybersecurity industry, what personal values or principles have guided your professional journey? And how do you ensure that they are reflected in the culture and ethos of SISA?
Yeah, as far as SISA is concerned, so one of the key things, it's quite natural that you're a founder for your organization, your personal values will rub off, but not necessarily equal in the values of your organization, right? At the end of the day, but having been a founder, you can influence that to a large extent. And you carry that, and to that extent, your organization picks that up. So some of those values are typically on integrity, while it's easier said than done. It's one of the key beliefs that, as a chartered accountant, I was a practicing chartered accountant who left accountancy way back in early 2000 because I was not really, interested in greasing palms in the government offices after having studied so much. And that's the only, not that it's the only thing, but that was a key thing as part of that profession, right? And second is, of course, not playing a substantial role in the global space. We were always constrained there. So my personal values was, about unquestionable integrity, and that we have carried forward as an organization in SISA. Today, as an organization, we still carry forward those values. That is there. That's just one example. Second is, earlier in the day, I was greatly influenced by Toyota for something called Kaizen, which talks about continuous improvement. And that's, once again, one core value. I always believe that you can't get everything right the very first time. So the humility of saying that, if it goes good, you have still scope for improvement. If it goes bad, then all the more reason you have scope for improvement. So that philosophy of continuous improvement, what in Japanese they call as Kaizen, is something that I have personally followed in my personal, it's core values of my personal being. And that has actually transformed in the organization. And that's what has kept us going forward year on year, day on day, month on month, improving from whatever we have done yesterday. And that's the only measure for success. That is, is today better than yesterday? And if it is yes, then you're happy. If it's not, then you have work to do.
Yeah. So very well said, and that's quite interesting, Kaizen. Okay. So how do you perceive the evolution of the cybersecurity landscape over the years, and what key trends are you observing in terms of emerging threats and innovative solutions?
Yeah, cybersecurity has always been, I think, when we got started off, technology, back in the day, was I mean, still is becoming mainstream, and it's influencing our day-to-day lives much more than what today. If you, Kalpana, were to, or any one of us were to go without the phone, we somehow feel that there's a vacuum in our lives. But that wouldn't have been the case for your parents or my parents, right? When you take a walk without your phone, you somehow feel that there's an organ of your body part which is missing. And that's the kind of influence that technology has. And consequently, security is also a very important component of that technology. So the way things have progressed over the last decades, definitely, I think it starts with compliance, right? So it's a bare minimum. We all wear seatbelts because there's a cop on the road, or there is cameras watching us, or there is an accident that happens. So and then we all try to do that. And security is no different, right? Security is all about. So I think the initial construct of entire cybersecurity psyche for leadership was, this is my cost of doing business. I need to be compliant, and hence let's get security done, because and bare minimum as far as compliance is concerned. But over the years, I think as security becomes a showstopper, can become problem for your business because of a cyber hack, or and you see businesses going bust because of security loopholes. I think slowly the mindset is changing that, hey, we can go out of business, and we can lose our jobs, we can put our investors at risk, and those kinds of realization is happening, and that's a positive trend, and I see that is going to go in. And in terms of more tactical, in terms of technology solutions, obviously, technology precedes security, in the sense that security is always like a tail, of an animal, right? In the sense that you have the head, which is tech, which is IT, and then the tail is basically the security. So we always follow where the technology goes, and wherever the technology has a loophole, that's where security comes in. So with all the advent of AI, and all the challenges that are coming along with technology, first it was cloud, now it is AI, and that entire technology innovation continues to happen. So security is trying to say, hey, how can we make this technology not a problem for society, right? And these technologies have to be used well, and that's how security is coming. So you see a lot of security solutions coming in to solve these kinds of new emerging threats that are coming in because of technology evolution and business model changes that are happening.
Yeah, more so with the AI, wherein a lot of emphasis is being put on the ethical use of AI, the responsible use of AI. Yeah. So, can you elaborate on SISA's forensics-driven approach to cybersecurity, and how it sets your solutions apart in effectively addressing the dynamic cybersecurity challenges organizations face?
Yeah, so the way, we look at security, it's the way of thinking for us in cybersecurity. So when you say forensics-driven cybersecurity, it's a slightly, that's our philosophy to security. And our philosophy to security is, what we are saying is similar to an airline industry, the analogy of an airline industry. If you see, the airline industry, or air transport, right? Today is the most safest mode of transport. If you look at it for a moment, right, which is quite surprising or quite ironical. How can something be 30,000 feet above the ground, with literally about 40,000 parts, in the air, and then take off and take down, and so many of those airplanes actually in the air, literally. Almost a size of Estonia in the air every day as we speak is in the air, and they are almost sure of landing safely and reaching homes, right? So our philosophy is, why is that being possible compared to a road transport? It is because of their relentless pursuit to one, continuous improvement, which we spoke about, and second is being rigorous in terms of identifying what went wrong and can we fix it tomorrow. So if you look at the way the airline industry is really operated, they've identified every problem, near miss that has actually happened, and then they have fixed it rigorously. And our approach is being one of the leaders in forensic investigations across the world. I'm not sure whether you're aware, we are one of the top global payment forensic investigators in the world today. And that being a global forensic investigator gives access us to organizations when they get compromised and see what is really going wrong and why did it go wrong. And those learnings we try to implement it to every security solution, whether it's a preventive solution like our testing, audits, compliance work, or for example, our detection solutions like our security monitoring solutions, or our our data protection solutions, or our training, so on and so forth. So everything that we do as a cybersecurity company, we take our learnings from our forensic investigation, and that's what we call as forensics-driven cybersecurity. Take learnings from what is going wrong, and then fix it for everything with, in terms of a prevention, detection, or correction. And our aspiration is to make it as safe as an airline industry in cyber, so that all our customers can be protected. Similar to the way the airline industry has got it right for millions of its passengers.
So you were talking about the preventive measures. So if you can elaborate, in securing businesses, why is it essential for cybersecurity solutions to encompass preventive, detective, and corrective measures, and how do organizations ensure comprehensive protection?
Yeah, so a similar analogy is, the good old forts, in the past, right? So our kings and kingdoms got it right? So how do they actually protect themselves, and how a fort is actually built, right? So a fort is built in terms of making sure that there are multiple layers of making sure that they are protected, right? So one is to prevent things from people, bypassing the perimeter, right? So you, in the same good old analogy of battlefield, you've got the moats, right, where people cannot come into a fort, right? So you have these great water pools where people find it difficult to cross the fort. But you still have armory, you've got people on top of the fort, shooting arrows at you and protecting. You've got thick walls, you've got strong doors, so on and so forth. So prevention control is largely there, right? And detection is largely to make sure that if there's someone, espionaging inside your environment, if some breakthrough and someone actually gets it through impersonation, through pretending else to someone, you need to be able to detect it and then be able to take corrective actions as quickly as you spot it. So in cyber world as well is the same philosophy. So you just can't rely on just one control. You would need to make sure that you have prevention, you're able to defend, you're able to have those moats, those strong walls, your firewalls, your networks in place. And then you still need to have your detection mechanism to keep surveillance. What is going wrong? You need intel. Is there enemy on the lookout? Are they already in? Is there a insider who's leaking out information outside? So you need to keep that intelligence going on. And then once you spot it, you need to have corrective actions. Like, can you contain it? Can you isolate those systems and make sure that the intruder is taken out, right? And he doesn't do further damage. So it's as simple as what we have essentially followed in the good old world of physical security. The same thing applies to cyber security. You need preventive, you need detective, and you need corrective security. And one of the big, I'm glad that you asked this question, because one of the key mistakes that people do is they don't focus on detective and corrective security. And they essentially say, hey, prevention is all that I should be doing because everything can be prevented. But the truth of the matter is, today with technology, you just need one of your 10,000 employees to click a spear phishing email, and there you go in, and the guy, the organization is now, compromised, and then the intruder actually does lateral movement to exfiltrate data. So the challenge is now, how do you quickly identify them? How do you isolate that particular system before the damage is done? And how do you contain that incident and make sure that you recover the data? So to your point, all these solutions are there. And one of our propositions to our customers is, can we, and our focus being on the payment industry, like anyone in the digital payment industry, our customers all fall in the digital payment industry. And anyone who accepts payments or processes payments, or like a merchant to a retailer to a bank to a payment gateway, that's our customers. And what we try to do is provide preventive, detective, and corrective security, so that at the end of the day, they have full end-to-end security to defend their network.
Yeah. So I think the recent trend is that how AI is now going to be a great help in meeting the challenge of that internal threat with those phishing emails, with the non-IT team members, those who are not aware of that, this is a email or anything, which they should be aware of, they should not click on it. So ethical AI is going to help in that. So can you share some use cases, because you are an expert and you're already dealing with the customers are from the digital payments industry, which is a very regulated kind of industry. And also then we would like to talk about the compliances.
Sure, Kalpana. So first is, as far as AI is concerned, let's understand that AI is going to disrupt the way we are all going to interact, and we all understand that. We all need to first accept it, that it's going to be there, whether the digital payment industry or in a media company such as yourself, or a factory or a manufacturing setup is going to get disrupted with AI, right? So that's the first concept. So the digital payment industry or every industry is going to get impacted. And it's going to get, when I say impacted, I would say in a good way. Our productivity is going to go leaps and bounds. So the way I look at it for our industry is, first is we call it AI for CI, or AI for productivity. So we're all going to use that for productivity improvement. And there's going to be, organizations claim that there's 50-60% of improvement in productivity because of AI, and just AI tool sets, right? So that is one. The second is AI for your core business, wherein you can apply AI, for example, in cybersecurity or in payments. Our customers are using AI for better customer experience, right? So they can offer the right products. And for us in cybersecurity, can we use AI for probably doing better detection, right? Because now I do know, earlier if I had a rule set which essentially said that Kalpana logged in the night at 10 p.m., which is not according to her profile, then flag it, right? Those are rules that I could set. But now what I can do is, I can kind of don't have to have those fixed rules, but I can see patterns and study Kalpana's behavior. Maybe Kalpana does log in on maybe on a Wednesday when she's working for, say, her US customer base. Yeah. So I can map profiles. It's a little bit more. So I can do clustering of user behavior. I can see, when I see clustering of data patterns, I can see this cluster is good, is representative. And if it's outside the cluster, I know I need to flag it. So first of all, so this is the second use case of AI for your business functions, right? In our case, we call it AI for cybersecurity. And third, for us, which comes in is cybersecurity for AI, which is what you're talking about, is safety or cybersecurity for AI, so that at the end of the day, the AI doesn't work, against what we humans want them to do. It is like the equivalent of AI is like fire, right? So fire can be a great, there's a good old saying, it's a great servant, but a very bad master. And similarly for AI, the same analogy applies. It's a great servant, but a very bad master. So how do you control AI so that it does what it should be doing and doesn't do anything wrong? So that's the entire ethical construct, what we call as AI safety. which is coming into picture, right? So to your point, I think all organizations should look at it. At least from cybersecurity organizations, we're looking at 3 dimensions: AI as a continuous improvement for improving productivity, making us create more value to our customers. Second is AI for cybersecurity, where we can use it to obviously do better productivity, improve for specific use cases where we need to use certain technologies, and of course use hyperscalers for using of that. And third, as a construct of cybersecurity itself, for AI, right? So how do you make sure that bias is not creeping in, or for that matter, humanoid robotics, if they come in, like we all saw that a industrial robot in Tesla factory actually attacked the factory worker, right? Obviously the other one thing that we are all missing out in this AI is it's going to be humanoid AI, right? So AI is one of the forms of AI is going to be humanoid robotics or industrial robotics, which is already there, which is going to be the physical shape of a robot, right? Physical shape of a AI is going to be like a robot, and that is also something that we need to actually make sure that it's protected. It does some things right, all things right, rather. Yeah.
So the interesting instance that we have shared, in that, what exactly was the issue? Like, where the things went wrong, wherein the robot actually attacked the human, the worker?
Yeah, it could be
a malfunctioning, or it's...
It could be, it could be a number. I don't know the reasons for that, but what I presume is it could be, it could be anything, right? At the end of the day, it could be wrong training of data sets, right? Because you can't predict. It's like a self-driving car taking a wrong turn and then ending up colliding with a truck, right? And we've seen that, right? Self-driving cars are not 100% accurate, and that's the reason why most insurance companies require you to be at the seat when you're, even if you're a self-driving car, right? So you need to be alert, you need to be controlling, and there is always called a human override. So that I don't see that going off immediately, and there is going to be some things that are going wrong. So how are you going to control that is the most important question. There's no doubt that it is going to benefit humanity, right? And it's going to benefit each one of us, right? So I was the other day seeing that you have humanoid robots and going and cleaning a gutter, right? Which is otherwise a very, very manual, painful work, and something, and to a certain extent, it's inhuman. To send someone down into a gutter and then clean a drainage system is a very, very inhuman activity which is being done by many people today. So, but if a robot were to do it, that's a classic use case. But that robot could also attack you, right, at some point in time. So how do you balance that? And our job is to make sure that as we end up using these technologies, is to make sure that technology is used in the right way and not against humanity.
Yeah, it's about the approach, like you earlier said, that so many planes they are in the air, still the sector is doing so well and is getting examples. So I think we can relate with that. Okay, so compliance is critical in cybersecurity. How do organizations navigate complex compliance and regulatory requirements, and what role does compliance play in enhancing overall cybersecurity posture?
Yeah, so very good question, and very relevant in this day of age. And especially in the payment industry, that it's a highly regulated industry. And people ask me, why is it so highly regulated? Is it stifling innovation? My answer to that usually is let's kind of step back. There's no right or wrong answer to that, but you have to understand why is it such a heavily regulated industry. And the heavy regulation comes in wherever it's going to impact common man, like you and me, right? Normal people. And that's where regulators have to step in, because obviously someone has to govern, because otherwise common man will get impacted. And that's the reason why regulation is extremely important. And because of this regulation, then comes compliance. Because, it's just like I was talking about seat belts, right? Now, seat belts have to get mandated because at the end of the day, people can die. And in compliance world, if people are not compliant, then you're going to harm someone else, right? So I think, first of all, the need for compliance has to be understood, that it's a fiduciary responsibility of leadership teams in every organization to be compliant and to take compliance very seriously, because it's not about their business, it's about the business, it's about the data that they're dealing with, who they are accountable for. So, for example, I am a payment company today. I'm dealing with payment data, your data, my data, customer data. Then just because I have the data does not mean it's my data. I'm accountable of that data because as part of my business, I've got that data and I'm supposed to be handling it very responsibly. And that's why I need to be compliant to certain security safeguards. That's the first thing that I think most businesses needs to understand, that, why compliance? Because most leadership team don't get that. Why am I being forced to meet compliance? It's because it's the cost of doing business. You are in a business which is dealing with sensitive information, which is perhaps you're a fiduciary owner of that, and you are supposed to be, people have given you that data because you're in that business and you need to be hence compliant. So that's the need for compliance. Second is compliance has to be, one of the key things that we enforce is compliance is just not something like a check the box, right? And while it may just start with that for many businesses, but one of the key things that we push our customers, and we also recommend to most of the industry folks, is to look at compliance as a method towards security. It's what we call as the basic hygiene for getting your security right. And compliance, none of the compliance standards will say do something wrong. They're all going to tell you these are the basic things, do it right. Now it has to be done through spirit and with the right intentions. Then you'll also get your paths towards security. But by no means does your compliance tell you that security is achieved automatically. Security is a path, is a journey that needs continuous improvement, like the way I spoke about. Every day you need to say, what can I do better in security? What can I do so that at the end of the day, I can provide better protection to my business? Can I be on top of my game? And I always say this analogy when I speak to CXOs across the world is the best of the cars are the best of the brakes, right? So security has to be considered from that standpoint, that because of security, you can obviously grow your business faster. You have less things to worry about, and you can take it more thing. And one of the other things that, in India, one of the biggest constraint is compliance is, people look at cost of compliance, and then always wants, so one of the key things that I encourage people to look at it is look at cost of non-compliance. If compliance is difficult, look at cost of non-compliance. And we all know the instances that have happened in the last 12 months. The cost of non-compliance can be, it can throw you out of business, can get your shares to go rock bottom, can make you even lose your business at all. So the famous quote is, if compliance is hard, try non-compliance.
Okay. Collaboration is vital in cybersecurity. Can you share insights into SISA's partnerships or collaborations with other cybersecurity firms and technology providers or industry stakeholders to strengthen cybersecurity resilience collectively?
Yeah, so cybersecurity is, so one of the key things that we have a quote in our office that the intruders collaborate, so why not the good guys, right? So if you look at it, we had this instance of compromise, one breach that essentially four banks across the Asia Pacific got compromised in a period of 6 months. So when we started with the first, obviously in sequential order, and different countries, right? And one of the key things that we observed was first bank, we took about a couple of months to solve it. Second bank, relatively shorter duration. Third, maybe 2 months. And the fourth, we did it in a few days. And when the fourth was actually explaining our investigation, they were saying how they got compromised. We could actually anticipate all the steps that they had because it was as similar as the first one, right? Or the first three of them. So what this means is the intruders essentially have better collaboration, right? And they all were using certain systems, and they had actually leveraged to compromise each one of them, right? So though we don't get into attribution of who did it, but we could definitely see that there was patterns and there was huge amount of collaboration, sharing of the IT systems which was used by all the four banks, and the IOs, what we call the indicators of compromise, were very, very similar, which means that there was extreme amount of sharing of knowledge and information of what was going wrong. in the industry, right? So if you draw that parallel to the good guys like all of us, we for various reasons can't share this in the open. I mean, we are a forensic investigator. You will see seldom SISA talking about any of our investigation because we respect the trust of our customers. But having said that, we have a owner's duty also to do something about it. So what we do is we do what we call as the learning sessions. So we do we go to the regulator, we go to regulators, we go to networks, and similarly we get inputs from these what we call as payment networks. Payment networks could be like Visa, MasterCard, NPCI. Central banks could be like RBI, MAS, BNM, Bank Negara Malaysia, or Central Bank of UAE. All these banks. So there is a huge ecosystem of sharing of knowledge that we do. Being a for the forensic investigator, we go share that information. We also do get that information from them as to what is going wrong. So that's huge amount of collaboration, and that's one of the things that we bring on in terms of our customers, because all of them are in the payment industry. So we get that. The second collaboration that we do is with industry bodies, right? So industry bodies, we partner with Data Security Council of India, which is an NASSCOM initiative. We partner with associations in like CREST in the UK. We work with federal, in some cases when we have a breach, and we work with. We have in the past worked with Ministry of Home Affairs. We have shared IOCs with Interpol. Where we feel that it's appropriate. So there is this huge partnership. But if you ask me, is there scope for improvement? Absolutely, yes. There is a lot of improvement that we can do, and then there's a lot of collaboration that we can do with industry as well as peer organizations.
Yeah. So, we have heard about cyber wars, and especially when, Russia-Ukraine war is evident. And so is it, what is your take on cyber war? And is it only a myth that, now it won't be the wars like it used to be earlier, and now, cybersecurity is something which is going to play a major role even in the global wars. So what is your take on this?
No, it's already there, Kalpana. So if you look at it, I'm not sure whether you read this. The Iranian scientist who got leader of Iranian nuclear mission who got assassinated was assassinated by not a human being. If you read this, it was actually he was actually under the most protected next to the Iranian president. If I read that well, rather. And he was going in a convoy which was highly protected, and he got a flurry of bullets coming out of a truck, and I don't know what they call it, it's supposed to be some elite protection, we should call it Z security, those are equivalent, right? And they were for a moment shocked as to where the bullets were actually being shot, and then they realized, and this was I think 2019, sometime around that, and they figured out that it was actually coming out of a truck, which is controlled from the satellite. So there was no human. There was really no human, and he was assassinated. And so cyber war is no longer a myth. I think it's already happening, and we need to be prepared for it. And the only way to prepare for that is the good guys have to come together. And obviously we need to build in that skill sets. And I always say this, that, as good guys, we need to be, there's a lot of credit that is given to the bad guys, and that's fine. But there are sufficient amount of good guys in the system who are making sure that there must lot many good guys who are in the system who are making sure that you and I have a peaceful sleep at night. And I think we need to work harder to make sure that continues for humanity, and people can, and our generations and future generations, your children, my children, are all safe as technology gets adopted in a massive scale. But to your point, cyber war is already unleashed. We all know Ukraine. You spoke about Ukraine and Russia. We all know what happened when Russia wanted to bring down Ukraine. So you have, you can bring down, and then they brought down the internet, and that's why SpaceX provided satellite connectivity to them, because they literally immobilized the entire country without internet for a for a certain amount of time. So so this is no longer something that we should watch in the movies. It's happening, and the scale at which it will happen is much higher. And all the more reason why companies and organizations and countries should pay attention to cyber. And we all need to make sure that we put in a lot of effort. And India as a country has a role to play. I strongly believe, and one of the key things that we have an aspiration in SISA is to put India on the global map for cybersecurity, because India has to play a very important role, being one of the largest, or other the largest democracy in the world, can actually play a very balancing role for humanity, because whoever is able to have cybersecurity, is a strong player in cybersecurity, is going to play the balancing equation, and it's better that a democracy as big as India has that capability, so that it can be a balancing equation tomorrow when such things, when it's called for, and India can play a due part.
Yeah. So I think still long way to get prepared for such adversaries, or we can also, I think when it comes to talent, again, the corporate world itself is falling short of the talent when it comes to cybersecurity. So now when it comes to nation, I think there would be a lot more openings now for the cyber engineers to work as an army in defense. Yeah. So if we can talk about SISA's global and India footprint and your business achievements of the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, so as a company, we focus on the digital payment industry, right? So that's our core focus, and we believe payment intruders who are going behind payments have no nationality. They just have one motive, which is money. And that's the primary motive. They want to bring down a system or a organization in the digital payment industry, not because they are a defense organization or they're part of national I'm not saying they do not exist, but in our case, we focus on the digital payment industry, and we are razor sharply focused on that industry. And that so we have a global customer base. We protect organizations in the digital payment industry across 40 countries. Or you name it, who's who of the digital payments today across the world, we work with them either as audits, we do assessments, we do security testing of their networks for the resiliency. We help them be compliant with various regulatory requirements, because as you rightly said, regulatory compliance can be quite challenging in the payment industry. So we understand that we believe we understand it better than anyone else, because we just specialize in this area. We do detection. We have a security operations center, which was inaugurated with Mr. Naran Murthy in 2017, which has now become, we defend national payment networks across the world. We also have a data protection solution, which protects data, because data is the new oil, as we all know. And that data, especially in the payments world, can be extremely sensitive. And if you go to the dark web, that is the most valued data than anyone. No one cares about my Dharshan Shanthamurthy's personal information, but Dharshan Shanthamurthy's card information or banking information is more valuable than my personal information. So how do you get control over that data? And then, of course, training people, like the way you said, because cybersecurity skills are very difficult to attain, and even more in the payment space. So we have training solutions. So we basically have 5 pillars. We have a compliance and testing. We do cyber defense, like security operations center monitoring. We do data protection. We do training, and then we do our forensics and a resiliency program where we do investigations. If something goes wrong, we bring them back on.
Yeah.
And our global aspirations, that's just so 12 to 18 months. That's what we focus, and we will continue to do that for the next 2 to 4 years. I don't see that changing so much. We are, in our growth aspirations, we are IPO bound as an organization. and we would want to really, make an impact in the digital payment industry and help organizations become more resilient, at least for the next 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, sure. So, in few of my conversations, recent conversations that we are doing as the pre-event series for our CXO Global Security Summit, I have been talking to a couple of the CISOs and that two of the banks. So, I recently learned about the cyber insurance. So, what kind of associations SISA has when it comes to cyber insurance? Is it that these customers that you have in the digital payment industry, I'm sure they must be having cyber insurance. So the way if we relate it with the other insurances like health insurance, wherein when there is a patient and the TPA actually works, they pay for the bills of hospital bills for the patient. How it works here?
Yeah, very good question. So first is cyber insurance is picking up in big steam in India, right? And obviously internationally it's been there for some time. And, cost of breach. And the reason why that happens is because, as one of the famous FBI director once said, it is not if you'll get breached, it is only when you'll get breached, right? So that's what it is, right? So most organizations are buying into that philosophy that you need to be ready for when something goes wrong, right? And at least cover your customers, the losses that can happen, so on and so forth. So that is happening. So now when a cyber breach essentially happens, let's take a step back in the sense that before you actually take an insurance, most insurance providers ask you to do a risk assessment. They would assess you the risk because just like how you have a health insurance, people ask you to go through a checkup. Similarly, in cyber insurance, organizations ask you to go through a security risk assessments. Sometimes they give you a questionnaire which you need to fill. Sometimes you produce certifications. Sometimes you figure out, you have to give some answers for that. And obviously, some of them, like your health insurance, some people say, hey, I trust you. Some people say, no, you still need to go to my doctor and go through a checkup before I can sign up an insurance policy for you. So it depends once again on the industry. Similarly, in health insurance, depends on your age group, your, so on and so forth. Yeah. So similar parallel to cyber insurance as well. And that's pretty industry norm. And obviously, if you have declared something wrong, they are going to hold you accountable when the claim comes in. Similarly, in your health insurance, when you have declared something wrong, if you have said that I don't have this ailment, and then tomorrow you get diagnosed and you are hospitalized because of that, then the insurance guy says, no, I'm not going to pay you for that bill. Similarly, the same thing happens in cyber insurance as well, right? So if you say that, hey, I have taken these measures, but tomorrow when you do the forensic investigation, you get compromised, and a forensic investigation says that, hey, you did not have this and you actually were maybe you intended to have it, but it was not configured properly or whatever it is, then. So similar construct works in the cyber insurance world as well. But having said that, I think we all know that we need insurance, just like how health insurance. So cyber insurance is quite a thing. Is what I would only encourage people is to not just check the box, but do it diligently and disclose what is right, and what you have not, don't disclose that you have not got it. And that's perfectly fine, because it's better to be truthful on that count so that you can actually benefit from the cyber insurance if something were to go.
Yeah. I think cyber insurance is something which is not just, going to help the large enterprises, which are already, they can afford, but it makes a lot more sense for the SMEs, or I would say the SMBs, wherein, again, having any such incidents, I think they won't be able to afford also. So if any security gets compromised, the cyber insurance is something which can actually help them. But again, I think there are not many things still to explore, and a separate session altogether is required to discuss it. So, any relation, direct relation SISA has with the, the cyber insurance providers?
Yeah, so globally we are on the list of some of the top insurance companies, TPAs, as a forensic investigator. So we are on their panel of forensic investigations. So as a forensic investigator, we rope in So that's typically the way we work. With that, we also have many of our customers. We have forensic retainership arrangements with them, so that if there is some suspected compromise, they can actually call us. Like, for example, we always call this as analogy is you don't need to go up to your Rolodex and see which is your best cardiologist when you have a heart attack, right? So you don't have the time for it. So you need to have done the due diligence before you get a heart attack, right? So similarly, you need to know which forensic investigator you need to go to when you have a problem, and that's why we call it a forensic retainership. So we have signups with all of them, including insurance companies, including customers. But we try to play an independent role as much as possible. We don't take, one of the key things that we believed in SISA is we value trust. So you would see that despite doing so many investigations around the world and high-profile investigations, you will see that we seldom come in the newspapers because we keep that extremely, extremely close to our heart. Within SISA also, there will be not more than 5 people who will be aware of our investigation at any point in time. So that's how we keep it for good reasons and for the right reasons. But having said that, to your question, yes, we do work with insurance companies. We work with customers to make sure that when there is a compromise, we contain them, and we also work with the insurance companies to make sure that they get duly compensated for the compromise that has happened.
So last but not the least, looking ahead, what is SISA's vision for the future of cybersecurity, and how does the company plan to continue innovating and expanding its offerings to meet the evolving needs of the organizations in an increasingly digital world?
Yeah, so Kalpana, I think, so first is in cybersecurity, one of the key things that excites me personally is that if you don't innovate in cybersecurity, you can't exist. So the real challenge for us, or the success mantra for us would be, how quickly can we innovate? How quickly can you do the ideation or the iteration? So, that's all that is... that's going to be the differentiating factor for the company at the end of the day. So the idea is going to be, how quickly can we adapt? And because technology is growing very, very fast, businesses are facing enormous amount of challenges with business model innovation that's happening, right? Today, business model is also changing dramatically with all these regulatory landscape, commercial interests, and so on and so forth, right? So
a lot of disruption, yeah.
Lot of disruptions. And so question here is, innovation for us is, how quickly can we innovate? That is number one. Number two is, for our vision as an organization is obviously we being in helping success of our customers in the digital payment industry. I think if we are able to make them successful, then I think our success lies in their success. If we are able to make them successful, then largely our success is going to be a byproduct of that. Because if our customers are finding it challenging to grow because of cybersecurity, then I think in some sense we are not able to innovate fast enough and help them grow.
Yeah, sure. So I actually did one of the session which was around threat intelligence solutions. So I can see a lot of things interconnected to the conversation we had today. So in conclusion, I can say that this insightful conversation with you truly captured the pulse of the cybersecurity market and provided valuable directions for the industry's future trends and strategies. And I would also say that the commitment to innovation and meeting the evolving needs of organization in a digital world reflects SISA's dedication to shaping a better future. So thank you so much for taking out time and joining us today for the CEO Talk on CXO TV.
Thank you, Kalpana. I think I really enjoyed this conversation. Very, very well thought through and questions, and I hopefully it interests your readers or listeners. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.